welcome everyone. If you wouldn't mind, as you're joining in, go ahead and on the chat. If you're live on the Zoom call, we'd love to see what city, state, and brokerage you're with. If you're watching this on the recording, either on YouTube or any of the other platforms, and you want to just post on what city, state, and brokerage you're with and how many years you've been in the industry. I always love seeing that. It's always fun to see where our audience is and how long they've been in business. It's it's always something fun to see. So we've got some people from New York and Texas and Illinois.
Nice.
Billy, so Billy is out of Billings, Montana.
Yes.
And how long have you been an agent? How long have you been a realtor?
13 years.
13 years. Wow. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. It is. I mean, it's, after a certain time, you're just like, doing this. I mean, when the average, time for a realtor is about 3 years. So, 2-3 years, it's 13 years is
I made it.
You made it. Good for you. So we got Judy, 23 years. Congratulations to that.
Wow.
Judy. So awesome. So we're going to be talking today about unlocking real estate opportunities with social media. And, Billy lives in Montana. I'm here in Arizona, and we met actually through social media, through a mutual friend who I'm not sure if he's on or not, Jeremiah's J-Man Monero. And so, but we met on social media and then we met in person eventually. But, the power of social media is that you do get to meet people. I mean, the world has really shrunk down and everything has come closer together where you can, meet people from all over the world now in a much easier way than it was, 20 years ago,
For sure.
Yeah. And
the power of Zoom.
The power of Zoom, the power of video, and it's the video, it's the pictures, because you get to see people, you get an insight on people's lives when they're posting things on social media and the videos. I know you're big into video, and that gives people an idea of who you are and what your personality is like, and they get to know you like, ooh, I love watching her videos. She's dancing, and maybe you can tell everyone, our audience, a little bit about your background and besides the real estate part of it. But
yeah, so I'm a mom of 3. My oldest is 24. She lives in New York, and I have a just turned 18. So I'm feeling pretty old today, and a 10-year-old. And I moved here with my parents back in '92. We actually moved here from North Chicago as a Navy brat. So kind of lived all over the United States, from Hawaii to Virginia, again, Chicago, lived in California for a bit. And I've stayed here. I love it here. I love raising my kids. I'm actually also a performance artist. I dance. I don't sing. I don't sound good singing, but I have been in musicals here at our community theater. I've done choreography. So that's kind of like my side gig. So real estate and dance, I kind of combine into one with social media. And it's been fun. It's been a great way to express myself on the real estate side. So yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, because and so the way we met too, can I tell them this story?
Yeah.
So I think it was 2 years ago now, a little over 2 years ago, we were headed off to NAR for an event, and I think it was in San Diego, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And Jeremiah is my friend, J-Man. He was like, hey, let's do some kind of challenge. Let's do like a dance challenge, because I think reels were just coming out, right? They were becoming more and more popular on Instagram. And he's like, there's this collaboration thing that you can do. You can have like side-by-side panel of somebody here and then somebody else doing it here. He's like, let's do something like that. Are you game? I'm like, sure, why not? Let's do it. I'm like, what do you have in mind? And then he's like, let's get somebody to like do this owl dance challenge. And I'm like, I'm out. And he's like, I'm not doing it. And I'm like, I'm out. Thanks. And he's like, no, it's going to be great. He's like, I know the perfect person that would be able to do this, and she's going to go all out. And I was like, okay, sure, go for it. If you want to set it up. And he did. He set up this whole owl challenge. You dressed up like an owl. You had an owl costume from one of your performances and did the owl challenge. And then we had to like all match, or like and then we said, this is the owl dance. You kind of
Yes.
remember it a little bit. And then we all had to kind of mimic that dance. And then that would be a collaboration between Wise Agent and Billy, or, Wise Agent and me. And then you would have other people. I know my girlfriend Mara, I got her in on it. And my girlfriend Nikki, we got a bunch of people doing it. Some other folks did it. Marky Lemons and Curie Little, we did like a whole owl like dance montage type of thing. It was crazy at at our NAR booth. And so you were the one that got that started. So thank you for that. And
I can't take the
oh, well, it was Jay's idea and I did give him credit for it, but you did the performance part of it, which is like the part that not many people want to do.
Yeah.
And so thank you for doing that, because
yeah, it was fun. Because he had posted this challenge, and of course when I see a challenge, I'm like, I'm in, I'm doing it. And so I happen to have this costume from a Halloween costume. I actually glued those feathers onto that dress and made that headpiece, and I thought, hey, that could pass for an owl. Threw it on, and it was so cold that day. Obviously I live in Montana. It was freezing, so I'm out there in this tiny little leotard thing out there just dancing along, and I did maybe a couple takes and send it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And so it was cool, because when I met you in person, I felt like I already knew you just from doing all of that, right? I already felt like we had a connection.
Same with me too. I mean, and that's what I love. I mean, on social media, is that there's times where we make appointments with people, especially in real estate, right? You're booking appointments with people you've never met them before in your life, and you're just like, hi, are you supposed to be the person? Are you the one that I'm supposed to be meeting? No? Okay, thanks. Carry on, and then and that's can be awkward and intimidating to just go up to some random person thinking it's the person that you're meeting. But with social media now, like, you've seen pictures, and hopefully everyone's profile picture sort of looks like them.
Hopefully. And if mine doesn't, please tell me.
I love when I see like social media and it's like a cartoon figure, and I'm like, oh, okay, great. I can't wait to try and figure out who you are. Awesome. But yeah, that's always fun. But it is a good way. And you've been using social media to grow your real estate business. So I know you have I don't know if you call it an alter ego. Do you call it another persona? What do you call Wanda? What do you?
So yes. So again, going back to my theater acting background, I've used that to help my social media, give me content. And I came up with this character. Her name is Wanda Buy a House. And she's an older gal that's kind of stuck in the 80s, and she's from Gurnee, Illinois. I've like come up with this whole backstory, right? She has cats, and she's stuck in the 80s, and you can tell by her outfit. She pretty much wears the same outfit all the time, but everybody absolutely loves her. And it just kind of happened to be a fluke thing. I did a Moss Mansion. There's a mansion here that does like a Halloween horror theater, right? And they said, hey, will you be our tour guide? You can dress up anything you want. And I thought, for some reason, that got in my head. It was, 80s real estate agent, right? You kind of think this, Century 21 gold jacket, kind of that look. And so I went to Goodwill, found this outfit that you see her wear today, put it together. I borrowed a wig from my friend, and I came up with this name, Wanda Buy a House. Everybody loved it at the tour, and everybody kept saying, you need to keep her around. And so I just started doing videos here and there, and now she is known nationally. Everybody's like, is Wanda coming to this? Is she going to come to? I mean, I've been asked for her to speak at like fundraising events. Like, can Wanda be doing the speaking? And I'm like, well, what's wrong with me? Everybody just cares about Wanda. So, Billy might just eventually die out, and Wanda might just take over.
Perpetually living in the 80s.
She doesn't like the 80s, right?
They weren't that bad. They were kind of fun. The hair was out of control, but
the hair was definitely out of control. But yeah, I just, she has a different speech pattern. My husband was even like, you need to talk more like Wanda. She talks slower, more with purpose. I'm like, what the heck? Everybody loves Wanda more than me, but yeah, no, it's been fun, and it's just been a great way to have that outlet for my creativity and that theater background and stuff. So yeah, I would say, if you've got that, or you got something else that, you're really good at, try to incorporate that into your social media. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I see Jacqueline posted that she's also a performer and a dancer. So maybe
Awesome.
Jacqueline will be seeing your alter ego and persona, like talking to Wanda one day on social media. That would be fun.
That would be awesome. It's Wanda Buy a House. So it's BYAHOUSE. And you can follow her on Instagram. It's at Wanda Buy a House.
So tell us a little bit. So we understand how like it came to be, but like, what does Wanda share on like Instagram? Are you sharing like tips on, people that want to buy a house, like how to do it right with a realtor in mind, and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, and I will say I haven't been as consistent as I was, and then that's definitely a key, is to be consistent. But I was doing Wednesdays with Wanda, where she would come on a minute or less and give tips, like home buying tips, seller tips, how to get approved for a loan, things like that. So in a fun way, but also educating the public as far as real estate goes. She'll visit like last year, she visited the NAR convention, walked around the expo center, and, kind of talked a little bit about, what that entails. So yeah, she's definitely a hoot. Sometimes it's a little much packing her. I got to take her everywhere. And, but yeah, she does real estate tips. I try to keep it real estate related, but there's also some, entertainment parts of it too.
Yeah. Just kind of keeping it a good balance of the two. I know, and Cynthia's getting it like buy a house, right? Yeah. So a play
like
on words.
Buy a house.
Like want to buy a house. Exactly. I know we got a lot of questions coming into this webinar, people asking like, what time do you post? And like, what time do you think is the best? And how many times and how many days? And I think that a lot of people struggle with that. And that's something that maybe you can share your insights on it. I know it's kind of a personal preference at most times, and like whatever you can accommodate, right?
Yeah, for sure. So for me, I'm still trying to figure that out myself, because I follow a lot of Instagram influencers that say, post at this time, post at that time. I honestly think post at the time that's best for you, because I'd rather you post every day and be consistent at the time that works for you. I haven't really noticed a whole lot of difference, other than I noticed that I don't get as much engagement on the weekends versus the weekdays. And they also say, don't post on the top of the hour, because most people are posting at that time and you're just going to get lost in all of the other posts. So they say, maybe 15 minutes after, or, on the half hour posting then. But yeah, I do notice that I get a lot more engagement during the week, because I think people are at work and, they're scrolling on their phone, they're bored, or they're, they're zoning out on their computer. Usually during the weekends, they're out doing stuff and not really on social media. So that's one thing that I did notice. I think it's ever changing. Like I was telling you before the call, I went to Social Media Marketing World, which is its huge social media convention that happens every year in San Diego. And I went last year, and again, this Instagram influencer, he was getting 1,000 new followers a day. And I'm like, what's the secret sauce, right? And he said, do 2 reels a day plus a static post. And I'm like, who has time for that? Like, I don't have time for that. And so I put it in my calendar and I said, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for 30 days. I'm going to post 2 reels a day and a static post. And I did that, and I actually tripled my following. I was stuck at around 400 and I could never get past that mark. And I'm like, what the heck? And since I did that, I think I'm up to 1,800 followers, and it just keeps every day I'm getting at least 5 new followers. So just being consistent. I don't do that many now. I have noticed that the algorithm has changed. I've heard Instagram is starting to kind of steer away from video and maybe pushing out more of the static pictures, carousels, things like that. So you just got to kind of like switch gears, and I'm still doing at least a reel a day and a post a day, and just being consistent that way.
Yeah. And I love that you have this you know, Wanda in your life, that you can actually like kind of play off that. So you're getting, you know, engagement from both, because I know she has her own Instagram account. So you
Yes.
have like a different, you know, you can have different followers kind of, you know, coming in from both sides of it, where it's one is you personally and the other is this real estate kind of education persona, right? That's kind of fun and playful. And that's where people are coming in from, you know, from there as well. Do you actually, like, when you have people that are engaging with you on social media, do you like, because I know sometimes, you know, we know some of these people, like we're like, oh, okay, this is, you know, a friend's friend. I've met them at a party. I know their name. I don't have any other information about them. Do you engage with them to, like, if you know who they are, do you engage with them privately saying like, hey, do you want to share your contact information or anything like that?
It just depends if I feel like I have a little bit, because I don't want to just be like spammy and be like, hey, you know, you don't know me, but I have met a lot of people through social media, like you, Burton Kelso, Sabrina Lowry. I mean, those are all people that I started off with social media. We've connected, we've messaged on the back channel, and then we finally get together and meet in person. And it's like, we've known each other for years.
Right.
But yeah, if I see that somebody might have a, you know, a mutual interest, I might message them and say, hey, I also like to do that. Or I saw your post, I loved it, or, you know, things like that. But I don't make it where I'm messaging everybody. Just if I feel like, oh, you know, there's a good chat there. Yeah. Because I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I get some DMs where I'm like, who are you? Like, what are you selling me? Right away I get defensive. So I try not to be that person.
Yeah, no, definitely. I know what you mean on that. But you know, there is a line of, you know, being able to do all of this stuff and then generate also business, because you're doing it obviously because you want to have that exposure and have people understand like who you are and what it is that you do. You know, and I know, like, you know, in Instagram, they allow you to have one link in your profile, and that's pretty much it. That's all you get is one link. You can't add links anywhere else. That kind of drives me crazy. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm like, Instagram, fix this. But what I was thinking is, like, do you have like a link? I know you do, but like maybe you can share where you link to, so that people can find out more information about you and get in contact with you if they're like listening to Wanda and they're like, ooh, I need a person like this that can help me through my process, and how they get hold of you.
So if you at Billy in B Town on Instagram, that's my kind of real estate. It's not all real estate, it's also personal stuff too. So I have at Billy in B Town. It's BILLIEINBTOWN, because it's Billy in B Town because Billings is also known as B Town. So that's kind of my whole marketing strategy and branding, because all things, it's not just real estate, it's being part of the community, you know, living in the city. And so, yeah, so pretty much you can find me anywhere at Billy in B Town. And then I do link on I'm just kind of pulling on my Instagram right now. I actually have 2 links. I'm not sure why I get 2 links. We were talking about that earlier, how some people have different, things on theirs, but yeah, mine just links to my real estate website, which is the company that I'm part of, which is Meridian Real Estate. So that it'll link that to that. I'm trying to think what the other link is.
I think it's to Facebook.
And then it also links to my Facebook profile. Yep, which is Billy Parrott.
Yeah,
Billy Plaza Parrott. And then I have, and I get this questioned a lot, and I actually have asked the question. I have 2, I actually manage 4 Instagram pages currently. So I have my personal Billy in B Town, and then I also have my more creative, dancey, theater performing artist Instagram page, because I figured some of the stuff, the people that follow me for real estate are not going to want to see the dancey stuff. So I did do a separate one. It's Billy J Parrott. I have that Instagram page. That one doesn't have as many followers because I don't really nourish that one as much as I do the Billy in B Town. I maybe post once in a while. I'm not consistent. So that just kind of proves to you the more that you post and are consistent, the more following that you get. I'm definitely not consistent with that one. It's just kind of a landing page to post like pictures of my dance performances, things like that. But I do still every once in a while collaborate with that page. So then you are also seeing the dance stuff on my real estate side. So that way people get to know the other side of me too. It's not just Billy the realtor, you know, so.
Yeah, I love that. And then you also, because you are part of YPN, you're part of your state association, you have other pages that you manage as well.
Yes. So. Busy. I keep trying to give it up, like, here, you take it.
But if you're doing a good job at it, I mean, that's the thing, is that like there's that consistency that you have to be on top of things. But it's also because when you're doing any kind of marketing, it's not just one way of doing marketing. It's not just the social media. You have to kind of do all encompassing things. It's not, like in the 1980s where the only thing you really had was like snail mail and phone calls. Those were like your two marketing things. That's all you had in the 80s. There was no internet and there was no social media. So you were, there's TV, I guess, and radio, billboards, which now we don't even talk about those things. Like,
right.
We don't even talk about like doing a TV ad or a billboard or with the not park benches, the bus benches. Like I've not heard, I mean, besides that one TV show that my kids watch, I can't remember what it's called now. There was like a realtor on that TV show that he did something. I remember seeing some kind of
is it Phil Dunphy?
Yes, that. I don't
Modern
know
Family.
Modern Family. There you go. But besides that, there's nothing. I mean, you're really talking about doing things on the social media. Like social media has taken over some of those things because of the reach that you have that's available to you. Where on the park bench, unless you're going to that one particular park, you're not going to see it. Or the billboard, you're driving down that highway. You're right. And then you're driving at 70 miles an hour and you're just like, what did I just see?
Yes.
It can be a challenge. Where social media is a lot more targeted. It does have a lot more exposure just globally. And so that's why that's something. But at the same time, the phone calls, the emails, the text messages, those still make a difference. Those still have a huge hold on us and our consumers.
Oh, for sure. Because not all my clients are on social media. They're like, nope, I don't do social media. So, reaching them via phone call or email through a CRM program that just keeps you top of mind if you're sending it weekly or monthly or for sure.
Yeah. There's a question here for you, Billy. Do you ever boost any of your Facebook posts or do you do any paid advertising?
I don't. The only time I ever did that, and actually this was J-Man's idea, is I was trying to get more following on my business profile on Facebook, which is Billy and B-Town Real Estate. And he suggested doing a like ad. And so basically you make just a simple ad that says, do you like real estate? Follow or like, share. And I did that. I think I paid maybe $100-200 for a month of it running. And it actually gave me 10,000 followers on my Billy and B-Town Real Estate page. Now, are these all, legitimate followers? Maybe not, but what it does is if you are at a listing appointment and, you're competing against somebody else, you can show, hey, I'm exposing your listing to 10,000 people. So just being able to show that's the only time I've ever paid to boost or, paid for an ad. I don't feel that for me, it's valuable, but I would say give it a shot and you'll be able to track it to see if it's worth your investment. The cool thing about Instagram and Facebook actually is you can go in and look at insights to see what your demographic is, right? And it was really interesting to me. I actually took a Marky Lemons class, Marky, and, and I forget to do that. And I looked and I was like, oh, that's so interesting. I had more male followers than women. I mean, it was a substantial difference. And now it's half and half. So it's just kind of interesting to see, like, what am I posting that's causing more female viewers to, follow me? It's just kind of fun to look at the data because the numbers don't lie.
Yeah, that is the part that I like, is that you can see all those insights. You can view like what their age is. So you can see, like Marquis says too, she's like, her demographic is like 45 and up females, and that's who her audience is. And so knowing who your audience is, then you can talk to them in that way where, if you're talking about things that wouldn't be relatable to somebody under, in like Marky's case, under 45, they're not going to relate to you. They're just going to keep swiping and they're not going to stay, and you're not going to be engaging with them. So engage the people that actually follow you and like you, because then that's, and be relevant to them. And that will be something that kind of encourages more people, and that's just who your target is. So
yeah, it was interesting. I learned that my my main demographic is people under 30. I'm like, interesting. so that, there you go. I mean, you're speaking to the millennials, what do they want to hear? What do they want to know? Especially first time home buyers, things like that. So then you want to gear maybe your marketing towards that. So knowing who's watching is definitely key.
Yeah. And so for Jerry that's asking, what are some ideas on gaining new followers? I know Billy had mentioned like doing the, two reels, 2 videos and a static post every single day for like 30 days is one of the ways that she was doing that. But I think also just being consistent, right? I mean, that's what you're saying, is that being consistent in your posts will gain you followers. It might not gain you 1,000 a day every day, but still 5 a day is still a good number. You're engaging, people are coming out to view you and to find you.
Yeah, it's consistent. And I would just give this tip. This is one thing that I learned, and this helps with content creation. If you are doing something that educates, entertains, and inspires. So when you're thinking about your content, is this educating them? Is it entertaining them? Is it inspiring them? That will help you right there, right? So just make sure you're doing one education post, one inspiration post, one entertainment post where you're just being funny or lip syncing to a funny audio, track that you can get on Instagram. That will definitely help. And just being consistent. Maybe you don't have to, I don't think that you have to do 2 reels a day anymore, because I think, again, the algorithm is changing. Just do 1 reel. I'll just challenge everybody right now. Do 1 reel a day and 1 static post a day for 30 days and see what happens. See if your following increases. I bet it does.
Yeah. And then I would just add to that and say, you also want to make sure that whenever someone is going to be new following you, that you have, you fill out your profile to make sure that you have like a picture in there of you. You have your, that your title, that you're a realtor, the city and state that you're in. Can't tell you how many times people are like, I'm in Lincolnwood, and I'm like, Lincolnwood, where's that? Well, that's where I grew up. It's in Illinois. So it's like, okay, like you mentioned Gurnee, because I'm from Chicagoland area, I know Gurnee, Illinois. I know that's where the that big outlet mall is, right?
Yep.
And so when you mention just a city name, like you're on social media, you're being presented in front of a worldwide audience. So someone in Portugal, since my Portuguese Facebook friends are screwing me here, so if they're in Portugal, they've never heard of Lincolnwood or Gurnee. They don't know where that is. You want to make sure that you're being really, specific into your area, to your market. So then people can, when they find you, they know exactly what market you're serving. I think that would be a really, something advisable to do. Also, make sure that you're directing them somewhere. So then if they do want to reach out to you, besides just doing a private message, they're able to, because sometimes, like you said, like you even get those messages and you're like, ooh, I don't know who this person is, right? So give them an alternative way of messaging you so that it doesn't feel creepy and intimidating, right? Where they can go to your website and find out, your phone number, to fill out a form, to connect with you and say, hey, Billy, I'm actually going to be moving to Billings, Montana. And so tell me what like what area should I be looking at? I have 3 teenage children and, whatever it is. So then you have people connecting with you, and there's a great way of doing it. So they're not like struggling, like, do I have to just Google you, or what do I have to do to get your contact information? So I don't look creepy and just dropping in messages and you're just like, yeah, no, I'm not going to read that.
No, that's a good point. And that's another thing too to consider if you already have an Instagram or are going to have one, is make sure your profile says, like, mine says Billy Parrott, Montana Realtor. Make sure you put the little registered.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so people know that I'm a realtor in Montana. So yeah, make sure that you're putting that in your username for sure.
Yeah, because that's something that's really that can really be helpful when people are looking for you. I know like you travel a little bit too. I know any, like when you make your posts, do you post them in specific like locations? So even around Montana, or like the TV show Yellowstone is really popular, obviously. I can't be on with you, Billy, and I'm talking about Yellowstone. I mean, I know, and I'm sure everyone's like, "Oh, she lives near Yellowstone." All right.
Everybody wants to move to Montana now.
I know. Well, and my husband always reminds me, he's like, I told you I wanted to move to Montana before it was cool, before Kevin Costner went there. And I'm like, I know, I heard you. But with you being there, I mean, there's this, obviously big popular show out there. Do you leverage any of that, like in that geolocation, even when you're making any posts?
I haven't, but I probably should have leveraged that, because I don't know that it's as popular right now, but a year or two ago, it was insane. But I did do I do a coffee chat live every Friday. I go live on Facebook and live on Instagram. And one of the coffee chats I did was talking about what you don't know about Yellowstone. So just letting people know that it was not actually filmed here in Livingston. It was filmed in Derby, Montana, and just kind of given the secrets that people just don't know, right? That they're just watching the show. So that was cool. It was very well received. A lot of people watched it. I guess on that aspect, I did leverage, being close to that area, and just putting that out there. And it was interesting even for me to do the investigation, looking up like all the different stories of, that particular ranch and how it came to be and who the real family was, things like that. So things like that intrigue me, and it's just fun to do my own research and then share it with the public.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I know, obviously everyone knows I'm not a realtor, but I live here in Fountain Hills, Arizona, where I'm not originally from. And when family or friends come to visit, I'm always like the tour guide. I'm like, okay, well, these are the McDowells and this is Four Peaks and these are all the, I'm like, I had to learn mountain ranges. I would never have thought back in fourth grade when we were learning mountain ranges in class that I would ever be. I was like, why do you need to know that? Now where I live near mountains, I'm like, you got to know your surroundings, because that makes you kind of integrate you into the community, to give people like, you are an expert in this area, what's happening, what's around. And you can give people that insight, like, okay, if you see a snake and it's just black and white, it's okay, it's the king snake. But if you see any other colors, run for your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I've had national speakers come to Billings. We've brought people in, and I'll usually be their tour guide. I'll pick them up from the airport and driving around and saying, well, this is this and this is this, and they appreciate that, being able to kind of show them the history of Billings. So just know your market, know your city.
Yeah, definitely. And so another question for you is from Nancy. She's asking if you go live on both Instagram and at Facebook at the same time.
They have not figured out a way, or at least I haven't, to do that at the same time. So what I typically do is I go live on Facebook with my laptop, and I use StreamYard. And so I will stream. And the nice thing about StreamYard is you can also stream at the same time to YouTube, LinkedIn. Let's see, there's one other one that you can link to. If you have like two Facebook pages like I do, my business one and my personal one, I can link to all of those at once. So that's what I typically do. And then I just have my phone kind of looking at me. So I kind of have to look at both things at the same time. But so far it's been great. I think I've been doing that for the past, I don't know, about a year or so now. And it's just interesting to see, who's watching on Facebook, who's watching on Instagram, and the comments and things like that. So you are kind of doing multiple tasking, double duty, but I think it's a great way to have that exposure and reach, is just to do it all at once.
Yeah. And so follow up to that from Marianne is how do you link to them all? So do you just use a link from StreamYard?
Yeah, so how StreamYard is there, when you're setting up your broadcast, it'll say what pages do you want to link to, and you have already put that in, like all of your links to all of your pages. So you just go hit. So YouTube, LinkedIn, and then it'll say, okay, great. And then it'll just stream it to all of them, or you can just choose one. So I love StreamYard. I know sometimes they have different promo codes. I think that you can even try StreamYard for free for like a trial period. I did the upgrade because then you can put your logo like on the top corner of the screen. You can have like a ticker on the bottom, giving a message out to people or a call to action, which is cool. But I do believe there is just like a basic StreamYard program you can just try and give it a shot.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know how many of you guys, there's a little, if you're watching this on the Zoom webinar live, there's a little button on the bottom of your screen that says raise hand. If you guys wouldn't mind using that raise hand button to see how many of you are leveraging like video in social media right now. If you guys wouldn't mind clicking on that raise hand, because I think that's always interesting to see. I mean, there's quite a few that are, like raising their hand and not raising their hand, I think. So like maybe, I'm not sure. So, because that's because video does do well on social media. I don't think you always have to, I mean, going live does do better in the algorithm than just having the recorded, like posting a video that's been pre-recorded, right? Billy, is that what you've been seeing as well?
Yeah, the reason why I like going live, and I know it scares a lot of people because you're like, what if something goes wrong? Well, things will go wrong, and that's life, right? You just keep going. I've actually had where it was the most embarrassing thing. I was interviewing, so typically I'll interview somebody, or sometimes it'll just be me talking about the community, things like that. But this particular one was an interview with an author, a local author, and I was at his house and everything was going great. The interview was rocking. It was awesome. And I go back to look at it, audio, no audio. For some reason, my microphone, because I had a microphone plugged in, it wasn't connected all the way. And I was horrified. And I told my guests, I'm like, I am so sorry. It did not record the audio. Could we do it again? Unfortunately, he agreed and we did it again. But, it wasn't the same. It was not the same. It was not as, organic as it originally was. And I was super bummed. So, I mean, things do go wrong and you just roll with it, right? The other thing I like about live is that people do like to engage with you when you're live, and they ask questions and they say hi, and they'll share it with other people. So that's one of the things I do like about live, because it is so organic, because you just don't know what's going to be said, right? You don't know what the guest is going to say. I've had guests where they hardly say a word and I'm just like, you're killing me. Like, you're really trying to pull things out of them. So yeah. So, you have good guests, you have bad guests, and you just got to go with it.
You just do what you got to do. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's funny you said that, because I said to you, well, if we have a lull in the conversation, we have questions from people. I don't think there's going to be a lull in the conversation, but sometimes there is. I always think of, I occasionally watch Joe Rogan's podcast, and he had Aaron Rodgers on, and I was like, oh my gosh, that was so painful to watch. I'm like, Aaron Rodgers had like 5 words the whole 3 hours. I was like, poor Joe Rogan. He's sitting there like struggling, like, so how did it feel when this happened? And he's like, good. I was like, oh, perfect.
Yeah, it's
I'm like,
painful.
that's painful. It's painful. It is painful. But hopefully for those of you that did not raise your hand and doing video right now, just get on and do it. I mean, there's always a delete button. If you're like, oh, this sucked, that was embarrassing, you can delete it and do it, start all over again. I know a few years ago, Sarah, who's our marketing manager, who's on, moderating the conversations here on the side, I said to her, let's go live on Facebook. And she's like, okay, where do you want to go live? We had not set up a green room yet. We were in the process of doing that here in the office. And I said, well, let's go. I said, I have this really pretty, I don't know what kind of tree, really pretty blue tree in my backyard. I said, let's go do it in my backyard. There's this, pretty tree back there. I said, let's do it there. So we had microphones. It was like it was like, and we're in Arizona. It's not that windy here typically, but it was like listening to it, it was like we were in a wind tunnel. It was
Mhm.
crazy. And so we posted it and then deleted it immediately. It was like, no one should ever be subjected to this. So it's okay. It's okay. And crazy things have happened to me on live, like, being able to see everything on Facebook in Portuguese and no other way of changing it to English. So
Yeah.
that's always fun. It just then that like those weird and wacky things that happen when you're live, that does get your personality to come out a little bit more than, being like, oh, I'm on live and I have to sit, and I have to be, prim and proper and whatever, and not say anything that I wouldn't typically say when I know that I'm being recorded.
Mhm.
So I think it's live is always good, just to go on there, try it. If anything, you can just post it to yourself, and then if
Mhm.
just to try it out and then just see what happens from there. But
Yeah, and the nice thing is too, when you do go live, Facebook will give you an option to either delete after 30 days or keep it forever. I always just keep it forever because I don't know, I like to have my stuff on there. A lot of times I will not go back and watch because I hate my voice. So those of you are like, I hate how I look. I hate my voice.
Yeah, I do too.
I've been called Gilbert Godfrey. Like, you sound like Gilbert Godfrey. I'm like, what? So yeah. And I do, I do use a lot of filler words. So that's one thing that I'm working on too. And I know a lot of people do, and it's a nervous thing, right? But that's who you are. And that's what people like. People like to see you for you. They don't want fakeness. They don't want stuffy, like like they don't want to see that. They want to see the real you.
Yeah, absolutely. And so another question from Jerry here for you, Billy, is what do you think about automated posts? Like, do you use any of those? Do you schedule any of your posts out?
I don't. And here's why for me, and I know that there are people that do it and do great with it, but for me, it's so organic. So I might be feeling like today's Women's International Day, right? I didn't know that till this morning. And so I'm like, I'm going to post the reel. And it took me less than 5 minutes. I just put on I'm Every Woman by Whitney Houston and just danced around like an idiot, right? And said, Happy International Women's Day, and posted it. So for me, it's just very organic, maybe how I'm feeling that day. Maybe an article that I read. I think that gentleman said something about keeping current matters. Take that information and make it your own, because that's, for me, when I'm scrolling on Instagram, when I see like those just canned posts, I scroll right past it. So just taking what you learn from that, make it a reel, right? Do a talking head. What's cool is there's a app called Captions, where I can be sitting there with my phone and maybe regurgitating that information I learned from that Keeping Current Matters, ad or whatever. And I can do the captions, because a lot of times people are watching at work. They can't have the audio on. So if you got the captions, they're reading it and they're staying engaged. That's definitely something I would do. But no, I myself don't use canned ads. I do everything myself. And it really doesn't take that long. If you overthink it, it will. But yeah, I mean, usually it takes me maybe a half an hour for a reel, just depending on, how much editing that I need to do. But like today, it was like less than 5 minutes.
Yeah. And do you, going back to like the first time you started posting video live on Instagram and everything and Facebook, were you, well, the live ones you can't really redo, but like videos that you were doing, do you practice like a million times? What's your process in that, or do you just wing it, go off the cuff, like kind of like this conversation here? We didn't, like, we had a practice call and it was like, well, we'll kind of talk about this stuff, and then it was like everything else we just wing it.
Yeah, I always go off the cuff, but because that's where I thrive, but I know that's not the typical case for most people. So if you do need to prep yourself, so usually coffee chat, again, I do it every Friday at 9 o'clock on Facebook. And sometimes I don't know what I'm going to talk about until a half hour before I go live. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, oh, well, this weekend, like last weekend was the home improvement show here in our town. I'm going to talk about home improvement ideas and like, what's your best return on investment? So I'm on my computer researching and getting, ideas, and I just jotted them down real quick. And then I went live there within that half hour. So for me, that comes simple because I thrive in chaos, but for most people, probably not the case. So just write yourself some notes, practice it a few times, and then record yourself.
Yeah.
And if you mess up when you're recording, just keep going. That's how you're going to be in real life, right? You're not going to be perfect when I'm talking to you. I could stumble on my words, and that's just who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. How long do you stay live when you do the coffee talks?
It varies. I think the shortest coffee chat live I've done, it was like 5 minutes. And I think that's just because I was traveling and I didn't really have a whole lot of time to be live, but I've gone as long as an hour and a half. I interviewed a live band here, El Wincho. They're like my favorite band, and yes, I am a groupie. And I interviewed them the day before their performance. We went an hour and a half. They played their music. It was so cool. We had really good engagement. So it just varies. I don't put a time limit on it. And I tell people that when I'm interviewing them, I'm like, hey, we're just going to have a conversation, and whatever happens, happens. If we go long, we go long. If it's, we don't have much to talk about, then we'll end it. So it just kind of varies.
Okay, awesome. And I think one of the things too is like I know, I can't remember what the app is, but there's like a calendar app of some sort where it'll tell you like what the national day is. Like, I think the other day was like National Ice Cream Day, or at least that's what my kids convinced me of. So it was like, just you eat ice cream all day long, I guess, I don't know. Today is like International Women's Day. So there's always something to post about. So if you're thinking about going live and it's like, what do I talk about? What do I say? I mean, you can find things, you could just really Google whatever it is, what's today known for. So then you can do, you can kind of get an idea of what you can be saying, because it will resonate with someone in your audience, probably, for sure. And so then you can just kind of go off of that. And especially if you have something that you want to say and talk about, like today is a, like I said, like we've said a couple of times now, International Women's Day. So it's a day of celebrating women. So doing a reel like you did, that's fun and, cute and, kind of it will, other people will engage and like it and, kind of just go off of that. So.
Yeah. And just asking like engaging questions, right? So maybe it's National Ice Cream Day. So go to your favorite ice cream place, say, hey, this is the best ice cream place in Billings, and this is why. What's your favorite ice cream flavor? And you will see people will be posting, oh, it's vanilla or whatever. So just doing something simple like that. I mean, and it really, you don't need much. People think they have to have all this stuff, but I just use my phone. I use a microphone that I plug into the phone, and that's it. And sometimes I might bring a tripod, right? But I mean, super, super easy. And you can do it for really cheap.
Yeah. And I think even with the ice cream thing, I mean, you can say like, hey, whoever, I'll pick a random winner to get like a $20 gift card to this ice cream shop, whoever is the first to comment or the 10th comment or whatever it is, you can make that contest kind of like we did with the Owl Challenge, is because then what you do is that it promotes that engagement, especially when you're giving something of value to people, they will give you something in return. So if you're like, hey, well, fill out this form talking about what your favorite ice cream is, and that form has their name, their email address, their phone, their contact information. Well, why were they engaging with you? They, was it just about the ice cream, or was it something more? Now you can get them into your CRM. You could use a landing page to do that. You could use all sorts of different tools, but then that can be something where that gets them into your CRM, so you can start engaging with them just on anything. It can just be, something as simple as ice cream, and just every year at that International Ice Cream Day, you can say that. But then it could be that they want to hear more about you from your real estate perspective.
Oh yeah, I've had people comment on my coffee chat. So I started this, oh gosh, I don't even know how long ago. It's been years, but my first one, it wasn't called Coffee Chat. It was called What's the B-Town Buzz? And I thought, I'm just going to go live. It was my first live video. It was a disaster, you guys, a disaster. I wasn't sure what I was doing. The whole video was sideways. I was out in this lot, this new development, and I was just talking about it. You would not believe, off that sideways video and horrible audio, I didn't have a microphone at the time, how much engagement I had. I had tons of agents calling me. What is this about? How do I, like, who do I contact? I want to buy a lot. It was insane. So it just shows that it doesn't have to be perfect. And with the coffee chat thing, it's a great way to meet business people in your area, like community people, and put them in your CRM, right? I've met so many people, and I have started relationships just by calling them and saying, hey, would you be in my coffee chat? Can I interview you? And they're like, well, why would you do that? Does it cost me anything? I'm like, no, I just want to get to know you and show the community what you're doing in Billings. And they're like, oh, and they appreciate that, right? But yeah, they're shocked at first, like, what? Why do you want to interview me? And now I'm friends with all these people, and I keep them in my database and just, send them a Christmas card every year.
Right. Because you just never know. I mean, you're in the business of, human relationships with people, and you happen to sell real estate, and it doesn't matter what it is, but if you're selling to somebody, you need to have their contact information somewhere in one central location. So that's always a great way of getting people in there, is just kind of giving them value for their contact information in return.
Yeah, for sure.
Another question for you is, do you use LinkedIn with videos? I know that they just started doing that not too long ago, I think, right? The LinkedIn.
Yeah, and I do link my coffee chat video to LinkedIn, so it'll just automatically stream to that. That's one of my goals this year, actually, is to do more on LinkedIn, because I know that that's kind of like a low-hanging fruit that not many people are using right now. And so I'm definitely going to focus more of my attention on LinkedIn, because that's where the business people are, right? So I would definitely focus on that, make sure that you're posting on there at least, every other day. I don't know that you need to be on there week or daily, but at least, a couple times a week.
Yeah, that's a great one, because when you're interacting with those business owners, they're also, probably sharing that out to their customers, their clients, their, whoever their patrons are. And so that gives you that exposure to them. So that's a great way of doing it. I love that. Well, I love the conversation we had today. No lulls for sure. So or anything crazy, except for my Facebook is in Portuguese. But I will try and figure that out. But yeah, I appreciate you, Billy, sharing all that information today. It was so enlightening. I hope you guys all learned something as well. So if you want to follow Billy, I think Sarah posted it earlier, but maybe you can type that in, Billy, for where people can follow you. And if you guys want a follow as well, that would be great. Oh, there's Sarah's on top of things. She's got your Instagram out
She
there.
got it. All right.
She got there. So yes, we would love that. Love to kind of grow even one another's follows from within the community. So we also have our Facebook Wise Agent community in there, where you can engage other Wise Agent members. But it's also lovely to see outside of that, seeing people become friends through their CRM. So that's fantastic. I love seeing that. And then we can't forget Wanda. So thanks for sharing.
Yes.
Wanda's Instagram as well.
And I'm currently, I was posting my Wanda Buy a House on my Billy and B Town. So you'll find some Wanda Buy a House videos on there. And I had so many people say, well, why doesn't she have her own Instagram? She should have her. And I'm like, I don't have time for that. And so I had so many people ask for it, and I finally did it. So it's new. There's a few videos on there. So hopefully you enjoy them.
That's fun. And you'll be in NAR in DC in May. Will you be there?
Yes. And so will Wanda.
So we'll
also be there. Mm-hmm.
So will my team and I will be there. So we'll definitely have to go on Facebook Live or Instagram Live then, and talk a little bit there too with Wanda. So that'll
for sure. I love it.
Love it. Okay. Thanks everyone. Thanks, Billy. I will be back. I'm traveling all next week. So unless you guys are going to be in Orlando or where we're going to be, Biloxi, Mississippi, I will not see you next week. I will see you on the 23rd of March at 2 p.m. Pacific time, I believe, with Michael Hellickson, where we're talking about CRM habits and building success in real estate. So that's going to be an exciting one. Thank you again. Thanks
for having me. Yeah. Thanks everybody. All right. Thanks.
See you guys. Bye.